Here's exactly what I'd do if I had to start my fitness journey all over again. If I had to start from scratch, what I would tell my younger self, knowing what I know now. Just so you're aware, some credentials. I've been in the gym for 6-7 years now. I've made pretty much every single mistake you can imagine. And it's taken me quite a while to realize what the correct way actually is. Now, just to let you know, there is no exact correct right or wrong way to do things, right? You can fuck around and do whatever you want. It will just take you longer. However, if I wanted to get to where most people want to get to, which is a kind of jacked, ripped physique where they're shredded, they can see a lot of muscle mass, they can see a lot of definition, they can see a lot of vascularity, and they're pretty much happy and content with their physique. I know what it takes now to do that as quick as possible. So this is the advice I would give my younger self if I was to start again. Now, I'm going to make this very specific, so if this is you, you're in luck. If it isn't you, try and use little bits to your advantage. Now, I was 55 kilogram and 5'8" when I first began. So I didn't have much muscle. I was always a skinny kid when I grew up. I was that guy who couldn't eat as much. I didn't have a big appetite. But when I was 16 years old, I got into the gym and I started lifting. And as you could guess, just from lifting, no crazy increases in my food, I gained quite a lot of muscle. I started to lift a bit more. The new stimulus on the body essentially created an adaptation, which was obviously muscle growth. And as a result, I saw what we call beginner gains. Now, if I knew what I knew back then, I would have gone much more serious with the food side of things. Why? Because I would have got the excess stimulus from obviously training heavy and making sure that I'm getting stronger and fucking around with the weights, cool, but I would have got way further had I actually tracked on my calories and tracked on my lifts. So if you're someone who's just getting into the gym or someone who wants to get better at the gym and wants to progress quickly, listen to what I'm about to say. Get good at tracking all of your lifts and tracking all of your food and tracking your weight on a daily basis. At the end of the day, if you want to grow more muscle and you want to build your physique, your body weight needs to go up. So get these 3 habits down. Every time you go to a gym, you track your weights one way or another. You do it via an app or you do it via a logbook. 2, you track what you eat every single day, or you create a meal plan that means you don't have to track, but either way, you know what you're consuming every single day and you don't leave it to guesswork. Because at the end of the day, the reason you're watching this is because you want to do it in record time. You want to do this as quick as possible. So, you leave things to guesswork. It ain't going to be quick. Simple as that. And third off, making sure that essentially you're tracking your weight daily, not weekly, daily. Because what happens with your weight is it fluctuates at the end of the day. Things will go up, down. There's loads of reason. It can be due to water retention. It can be due to poor sleep. It can be due to inflammation from training late that again causes more water retention. Whatever it is, your weight it will go up, it will go down. It's completely normal. But what you need to do is have weekly averages. And the way I do this, knowing what I know now, is just basically go on notes, pretty much, or use an app if you can. Go on notes and pretty much track your weight every single day. Put this into ChatGPT, put this into an Excel spreadsheet and just track it and see a graph and aim for, if you're someone who kind of was like myself, who was skinny and wanted to bulk up, you're aiming for around 0.6 kilogram per week, I'd say. When you're a beginner, it's a little bit more. You can have 0.6 to 1 kilogram, but you're not looking for more than 1 kilogram per week. That would be too much. That suggests you're gaining fat. And that's kind of how you do things, right? Now you've got those habits in place. If you're someone who's skinny and you're trying to build as much muscle as possible, your goal is simply to get stronger as quick as possible and get as skilled as possible on every single movement. Now the way you do this is fucking simple. You train full body and you train it 3 to 4 times per week. The reason why is because you're going to train every muscle group 3 to 4 times per week, which means over the course of a month, you will do that 12 to 15 times per week, assuming 4.5 weeks in 1 month, right? And you do that extrapolated over 12 months and you will outperform pretty much every single person who does push-pull legs or does a bro split or whatever, even though you don't want to train legs 3 times per week. Most people will not do this because they don't want to train legs 3 times per week. I completely understand that. But if you wanted to grow as quick as possible, this is what I would do. Now, one little argument I do understand is I think we all have to go through a phase when we first join the gym where we kind of smash pre-workout, we do chest 4 times per week. That's kind of what makes you fall in love with the gym. I completely agree. But if you're someone who can just kind of be very, very disciplined from the get-go, which is very good, by the way, it's not easy to do that, then if you were to train full body 3 to 4 times per week, you were to track your lifts exactly as I said, you were to increase those lifts. And I'm going to take this a step further. If you were to actually either hire a coach or film your sets, watch them back and really, really focus on improving them. Really, really fall in love with the actual habit of getting stronger and really pushing it and making sure that you're trying to achieve complete 10 out of 10 execution with every single movement. You would also make insane amounts of progress. Because at the end of the day, what separates someone who has a lot of muscle and is where they want to be and someone who isn't is two things. One, obviously consistency. The person who is in the better shape is obviously trained for longer. But two, they know way more than you. Simple as that. Otherwise, you look like them, right? If you want to know as much as possible, as quick as possible, you need to train and treat your physique in a way where you take things professionally. And the way you do that is just find out what everyone does, basically, where they just go and fuck around, and then just take it a little bit more seriously. Look at your sets, look at your exercises and go, oh, actually, I'm not performing this correctly. And just really, really sit down with yourself and just, spend some time and just really try and perfect it. And once you perfect it, you only have to do it once. Then start to add weight with that perfect form, and you will just make so much more progress, because surely this makes sense, right? Like if you're doing a chest press, but you're just doing it for the sake of it and your arm path's not in the right way, you're not going to activate much of your pec fibers, and as a result, you're not going to grow your chest as much. But if you were to take some time and just get that completely down and then start to add weight, you would run circles around all the people who are just adding weight and not trying to improve their form. You see what I'm saying? This is what I'm trying to get across. It really is that simple. So you want to get better at the skill of lifting, right? And full body will allow you to do that. If you follow this exact step, build the habits I've said, follow full body, you will get stronger very quickly, right? If for whatever reason you're not a beginner and you don't want to do full body, then perhaps upper lower. But the idea is when you're first starting out is volume, frequency, all of it. Volume negates luck. Just understand that. The more you do of anything, the better you get. And once you get really good, then you can start to fine tune things. For example, now I've been training for a long time. I do a push-pull leg split. I notice that my legs aren't exactly where they want to be. My upper body is pretty good. I'm happy with that on this calorie surplus. So I'm training a little bit more legs. That's where you can be a little bit nitpicky. However, when you're just starting out, everything is weak. Therefore, you need to train everything. Why on earth would you separate muscle groups? You need to do everything, okay? That's what I wish I knew. Now, if you track all of your lifts, if you do full body 3 times per week, if you track your weight daily and you aim for those targets and you stay relentless and you track your progress pictures every single week, you do a check-in with yourself every single, I would say Wednesday, not Sunday. I would say Wednesday because it's midweek. Sometimes things happen on the weekend. We do it Wednesday and you take a picture of yourself and you check, did I make my progress for this week? Did I gain X amount of weight? How was training? How was this? You do all of that. Perhaps you use ChatGPT or you hire a coach, whatever it is, and you do that consistently. You will make loads of progress. That's the habits you need to build. You have those habits, you will smash it. Alongside consistency, of course, because at the end of the day, you can just be consistent for a long period of time and you'll make loads of progress, but everyone does that. If you want to know the fast track way to actually do things, you need to follow the habits I just gave you. And if you do that and you spend a lot of time in a surplus, assuming you're 55 kilogram like I was and you were skinny, and you spend time and you gain 15 kilogram of muscle, 15 kilogram of body weight, you're going to gain a lot of muscle. And if you gain a lot of muscle, you're going to notice that you're much, much stronger. The big telltale sign is if you're gaining muscle, is if you're stronger. If you're very proficient with your lifts, if you can lift a lot with excellent form and accuracy, and people go and go, this guy's pretty fucking strong, chances are you have a lot of muscle. Get to that stage, which may take a year, may take 2 years, whatever it is, and then think about doing a diet once you've got that to lose some of the body fat, and then you'll pretty much have a very, very good physique. And that can take you 2 years if you actually do everything right. The reason it takes longer is because people don't understand that form and accuracy is the key driver of growth. At the start, you can fuck around, but eventually you start to realize that mechanical tension is the key driver of muscle growth. In order to get the most mechanical tension, you need to make sure that your range of motion and your execution with all of your movements is completely accurate. And then you add more weight with that perfect form, and you keep reviewing it and making sure it doesn't slip as you add more weight. That's how you're going to get stronger quicker. That's how you never even think about plateauing, because you're constantly getting stronger. Do you know why people get the newbie gains and they start to plateau? It's because what they did to get to where they are now doesn't work moving forward. The reason why is because you could just literally trip over and fall and build a little bit of muscle when you start lifting in the gym, of course. But after a while, it takes a different approach, and this is where people get demotivated. So if that's you, listen. Focus on your form. Be smart. Leave your ego at the door. Just remember, at the end of the day, more weight isn't cool, more muscle is cool, okay? So if you need to lift a little bit less weights to get more chest growth, think of it as a good thing. You've got a much bigger runway now. And as a result, you're going to improve. You do that with the habits of tracking all of your food, because we all know most people don't do it because they're lazy, and that's why they take longer. and you track your weight daily and you make sure that you're actually improving. If you're in a surplus, you make sure you hit your weight gain targets. If you're in a deficit, you make sure you hit weight loss targets, and you keep yourself accountable, and you make sure that every single week you're tracking your progress. If you do all of that, you build those habits, you will make a lot of progress. I'll be honest with you, the easiest way to do this is to get a coach. You want to make the most amount of progress, get a coach. I have a coach, my clients all have me. It does make your life easy. But I just kind of spelled out the way to do it without a coach. That's exactly what I would do if I was just starting out. If I was just starting out, I would do that, or I would hire a coach. Either way, I wouldn't necessarily just go into the gym, throw a load of weight around and fuck around, because I would make progress, but I could do it way quicker if I watched this video and knew exactly what to do. That's what I'd recommend. Take it or leave it. But the biggest thing you got to understand is your goal is to get stronger, your goal is to become more skilled, and your goal is to do as much as possible, as quick as possible, right? You're not trying to train 7 days per week, but you're trying to train your legs, your chest, your arms, your back as much as possible until you get it up to speed, until you get skilled at the movements so you can actually apply more force and grow more muscle. Think of it this way, right? If you have never done a squat before, the only way you're going to get better is by doing more of it. So if you do it 4 times per week, and then you do that across 52 weeks across the year, and you extrapolate that, well, you're going to have done 200 repetitions of squats over the last year. And if you were to do it once per week, you would only have done 52. So the guy who does more volume has 4 times the skill to the guy who doesn't. Who's going to have bigger legs? The guy who has more skill. It's as simple as that, okay? I hope that makes sense. It might sound like I'm waffling. If I need to remake this video, I will. But that's what I would tell my younger self, because it's confusing. So I hope that kind of clears things up. Any questions, let me know. Other than that, I will see you on the next one. I've been a little bit ill the last few days, so do bear with me, but I'm back. I'm back in action. The momentum on this YouTube channel is great, so we need to keep this going. Other than that, that's exactly what I would do if I was starting my journey again. Hope all is well. Catch you on the next one. See you later.